Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg. As we gather, we acknowledge that we... Can't hear me? I think I'm on. Yeah. Okay. Well, we welcome you again to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg. As we gather, we acknowledge that we are situated on a land of many successive occupants: the Rappahannock and Potawatomi tribes, European settlers, and enslaved people. We acknowledge that this land holds many histories, stories of bloodshed, and efforts to make peace. Good morning. I am Karen Calais. I still use feminine pronouns, and I will help guide our time together this morning. Here at UUFF, we come together both in person and online as one community. We strive to nurture learning, inspire spiritual insights, create compassionate relationships, and lovingly transform our community and the world. If you are joining us as a guest or a first-time visitor here in the building or online, we are glad you're here. If you're in the building, I invite you to leave contact information at the welcome table out in the foyer. If you're online, please visit our website at uuffxbg.org. If you go to the worship portal and fill out the connection card, this will allow our ministers and staff to get in contact with you in the week to come. Everyone is invited to fill out a card about a personal, significant joy or concern that you would like to share during the service. For those in person, you may pick up and leave your card at the Joys and Concerns table out in the foyer. They will be collected and read shortly. For those joining us online, the same worship portal has a Joys and Concerns form. Joys and Concerns that you enter there will be read during the next service. And after the service, please stay for coffee and conversation. This is a time when you get a chance to look around, see who else has shown up since you got here, and say hi. Welcome, everybody. Oh yeah, we need to get water in there. Okay, thank you. All right, let's light our chalice. And the words will be on the screen, and you will see that it includes there's a repeating refrain. For those of you who don't like to think of this as a church, you might want to substitute the word faith. If you do like to think of this as a church, you can just read it as is. And especially for young folks at heart, or any age who are with us, there are some motions that I will demonstrate as we go. Let's begin. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the faith of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. And this is the church of the loving heart. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world. Thank you.
Okay, now is the time for stories, sacred storytelling. And for those of us who maybe would like to have something physical to do while we're sitting in service, if you raise your hand and let me know, I can come around and bring you an intergenerational order of service that also has some coloring pages. So, okay. And this story was written by Phoenix, and I'm reading it for them because they are not feeling well today. So let's also send them some healing energy so that they can feel better. Once upon a time, in a bustling town called Jericho, there lived a man named Zacchaeus. He was a tax collector, but not just any tax collector. He was known for taking more than his fair share from people, leaving them with barely enough to survive. Now, in the same town, there lived a man named Luke. Luke was a kind and compassionate person who always stood up for what was right. He saw how Zacchaeus oppressed his fellow townsfolk, especially those who were poor or from marginalized communities. One day, Luke heard that a great teacher named Jesus was passing through Jericho. People said that Jesus spoke of justice and equality, and Luke was eager to hear his message. As Jesus walked through the streets, a crowd gathered around him, eager to catch a glimpse of the famous teacher. But Zacchaeus, being a short man, couldn't see over the crowd. Determined to catch sight of Jesus, he climbed up a sycamore tree. When Jesus reached the tree, he looked up and saw Zacchaeus. "Zacchaeus," he called, "come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Zacchaeus was shocked. He knew he wasn't well liked in the community, especially by those he had wronged. But Jesus showed him kindness, acceptance, despite his past actions. As they sat together at Zacchaeus' house, Jesus spoke to him about justice and equity. Luke watched from the crowd, amazed at Jesus' ability to show compassion even to those who had caused harm. He realized that true justice meant not only standing up against oppression, but also reaching out to those who perpetrated it, offering them a chance for redemption. Inspired by Jesus' example, Luke vowed to work even harder for justice and equity in his community. He knew that by standing up for his neighbors, especially those affected by racism and oppression, he could help create a better world for everyone. And so, with Zacchaeus' heart transformed and Luke's determination renewed, the town of Jericho became a place where justice and equity flourished, thanks to the power of compassion and the willingness of individuals to stand up for what is right.
Oh, I guess I don't have to be up there because I can walk around. We will now have our opening hymn. The words will be on the screen. It's Immortal Love. You're encouraged to stand if willing and able, so you can give the singing more energy. We're going to do all of them. Yeah, because they didn't have the screen to... Immortal love forever full, forever flowing free, forever shared, forever whole, on never-ending sea. While outward lips confess the name, all of the faster turns to you. But love alone knows whence it came, and coming handing love, blow winds of love awaken the mists of hate are away. Sing unto truths they won, and tell how wide and far we stray. The letter falls, raisins fall, and every symbol waits. The Spirit overseeing all, nowhere, no love, no aims. Thank you. That's not what's up there.
Are the intrepid souls that came in on a dreary day. But isn't it nice to have kind of mild temperatures in the middle of February? The 24th, I'm going to be walking in the coldest night of the year for Micah Ministries, fundraising for their work that they do for the people who are unhoused in this community. And who knows, it could be 60 degrees that morning. I mean that evening when it's time to walk. You never know here. This is the month when we will be talking about justice and equity. That is our theme this month. And of course, Wednesday is Valentine's Day. So our sermon today is love. What's love got to do with it? Justice, what's love got to do with it? That's our sermon today. So we try to put it all together. Well, once upon a time, I got lost in Chicago. I was in town to attend classes for the Meadville Lombard Theological School. Should I be using this mic? Okay. So once again, I was in Chicago to attend classes at the Meadville Lombard Theological School. And my normal itinerary was to fly into O'Hare and then catch the L, which is what they call the subway, into downtown where the seminary is located. On this occasion, I was so engrossed in my book that when I looked up, I thought that I had missed my station and that it had arrived just in the nick of time. So without hesitation, I jumped up with my luggage, only to discover that I was in the wrong place. There I was in the dead of winter with a big suitcase on a Sunday night in a part of town that seemed to be completely closed. It was mostly dark. Nothing seemed familiar. I pulled out my cell phone, only to find out that it was dead. Now, I could see a person approaching me in the distance. They were headed right for me. It was almost as if they were waiting for me. He was an African-American fellow about my height, but half my age. He was bundled up in a coat with a hoodie protecting his head from the cold. Well, I froze. Literally. Remember, this is January in Chicago. Let me find out my place here. But I will admit, I was afraid. But would I have been afraid if it had been a woman, or a child, or a white man? Probably not. Implicit bias lives deep in the psyche. But when he got to me, he could see that I was fiddling with my cell phone, and I had this troubled look on my face. He correctly assumed that I was lost. He asked me where I was heading. And then he started to give me directions. And this just made me more confused. I was supposed to walk over the bridge for the Chicago River, make a bunch of lefts and rights. I had to go about 10 blocks, but it was a circuitous route, and there was no way that I could remember all of that. And he was reading my face, and he could see that I was still lost. So he offered to take me there. Oh, all kinds of things went into my brain at that moment. Was he making it sound more complicated than it needed to be so he could take me somewhere else? Could I trust this guy? But what alternatives did I have? So I agreed to go with him. Part of me was relieved to get moving. I can't explain it, but I felt safer with him beside me than if I had tried to go it alone. He asked me where I was going, and I told him that I was in town for a seminary. And so he started asking me questions about my seminary, and before long, we got engaged in a conversation about the Apostle Paul. And this guy knew his scripture. Then he started to tell me about his current problems. He was recently divorced, lost his job, and he was unhoused. He was staying in a shelter on and off, but it was temporary, and he needed to pay a certain amount to stay there for the week. He was dreading being out in the street in the dead of winter in Chicago. And did I mention it was very windy? And it was one of those years when we had the polar vortex. Eventually, I started recognizing where I was. We were talking, and next thing you know, things looked familiar. I was back on familiar ground. The place was well lit. More people were walking around. Then I saw the lights of the hostel where I was staying. And before he could ask, I took out my wallet and paid him what I thought a taxi would cost. And then I threw in another $20. He accepted it with a smile, and then he went on his way. To me, it was money well spent. It was payment for services rendered, not charity. It was my way of expressing appreciation for helping me cross the bridge. Not just the one across the river, but the one that separates me from other humans. It was the bridge of love, I will call it, that crossed over my implicit prejudice. The one that moved me from being a vulnerable stranger in a strange place to a comrade on common ground. My Chicago companion recognized in me, through his eyes of homelessness, that feeling of being lost. That feeling of utter vulnerability. We found a deep connection, and together we helped each other. Susan?
You must understand, though the touch of your hand makes my pulse react, but it's only the thrill of boy meeting girl, opposites attract. It's physical, only logical.
a good question, eh? What's love got to do with it? Well, in the proposed revision of the Unitarian Universalist Association's bylaws, Article 2 replaces the 7 principles and 6 sources of our faith. And it replaces it with 6 values held together by love. It declares that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of all our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Reverend Suzelle Lynch wrote an essay describing the lay-led UU fellowship of her youth, much like this fellowship used to be about 35, 40 years ago. She said, "I see the holy ever present in their love for me. God was a larger love, holding us all present in our relationships with one another and with all living things, reminding us that we belonged to each other, calling us to ever greater hospitality, responsibility, and joy." Well, the humanists in her fellowship probably wouldn't have agreed that their love came from God, but it's just semantics. That love that they found in their community gave them something to believe in with ultimate meaning. Strip away all dogma and doctrines and scriptures, and that's what you will find at the heart of every religion. Unless you're a nihilist and you think that life has lost all meaning, you have something there in love that is worthy of your devotion. That's your God, whether you call it that or not. The larger love is the giving of oneself to the power that holds the world together. And even when we are tearing it apart, it persuades us to come back to our true selves and begin again. This love is reliable because it engenders respect for the necessary diversity of humanity. We see ourselves in the other, no matter how different we are. Biophilosopher Andreas Weber, in his book Matter and Desire, an Erotic Ecology, describes love as the principle of a fulfilling equilibrium between the individual and the whole. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Love is the principle of a fulfilling equilibrium between the individual and the whole. The human experience of desire and satisfaction is more significant, he argues, as a vivid contact with the outside world that simultaneously amplifies one's sense of inwardness and self-awareness. You see, we are always both separated and connected. This paradox defines all living beings. Everything exists within a dimension of relatedness. And yet, we have an identity that is unique to each of us. But even our identities are informed by our contact with others. Love, as the experience of deeply meaningful relationships, contains 2 things at once: action and inner awareness, which is where the emotions come from. Morality is the actions that we take that maintain that balance of us as an individual and as part of an interconnected whole. When we stray from that balance, we know it and we feel it. It diminishes who we are. We feel small and afraid. Seen in this way, morality as an expression of love is a beautiful manifestation of our aliveness. Albert Einstein once wrote that the most important human endeavor is the striving for morality in our actions. Our inner balance and even our very existence depends on it. Our only morality in our actions can give beauty and dignity to life. The internal beauty that Einstein describes is within our control. It is objective and universal. Moral action that rises from our inner balance between the self and the whole, that reflects our inner and outer awareness, is true beauty. As Unitarian Universalists, we recognize this moral beauty through the lens of social justice. By being at peace within us, we share our beauty like the lines of the field, like the lilies of the field, like the lilies of the field. We necessarily spread that beauty through compassion, empathy, and love to our family, our neighbors, and yes, to the whole world. We are called to build communities that inspire us to achieve a higher purpose for each other. Anywhere that we encounter injustice, we see it as an affront to all of us. But only by tapping into our interdependence with one another are we compelled to act. If my neighbor is oppressed, I have a moral duty to disrupt and dismantle that injustice. To do otherwise is to act against love, against our true nature. Deeply woven into the fiber of our religious tradition is the conviction that humanity is made in the image of God, or as I previously stated, in the image of a larger love. If we accept this as a profound moral fact, we cannot be content to see people go hungry, to see people victimized with ill health when we have the means to help them. As the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. once said in a sermon, in the final analysis, the rich must not ignore the poor because both the rich and the poor are tied together. They enter the same mysterious gateway of human birth into the same adventure of mortal life. In a real sense, all life is interrelated. The agony of the poor impoverishes the rich. The betterment of the poor enriches the rich. We are inevitably our siblings' keeper because we are our siblings' sibling. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Well, this Wednesday, on Valentine's Day, give a stranger the gift of yourself. I'm asking you to broaden your perspective and see the larger love around you. Now, don't force it and impose yourself on someone else. Just open your hearts to everyone with that inner peace that is in there. And even if you're going through stuff in your life, let that be your ticket to cross the bridge, to find common ground through your vulnerability. You will be totally amazed at what happens. You will see things that normally you would miss. You will notice people in a different way. Be the love that you seek, and it will be the greatest gift that you could ever give. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
This will be our time for giving an offertory. When you give to UUFF, you help to nurture learning, inspire spiritual insights, and lovingly transform our community and beyond. For those gathered in person, greeters will be coming around with a basket for donations. Viewers can donate at our website, uuffxbg.org/giving, or by phone text, and I think some of this, yes, is online. And you can message to the number 844-963-2785. Our offertory will now be gratefully received. Well, we really got a double offertory today. May all that has been shared and freely given here today help us grow in generosity in caring for the world of which we are a part. And okay. I believe we're going to have a meditation by Leslie Phillips. Is that now?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Leslie. My pronouns are she and her. It's my joy to share with you a heart-centered yoga practice in our chairs this morning. Yoga is the joining of the mind and the body using the breath. The breath is our pathway to peace. Consider your mind like a kite. When it starts to wander, the breath is like a string that can bring it back at any time. You can bring this to mind. Find a comfortable, relaxed seat with your feet pressing into the earth. Imagine your spine like a string of beads where it's somewhat straight but still allowing for the natural curves Connect with your breath. Maybe lower your eyes or close them if you feel comfortable. Notice your breath in through your nose, cool. Out through your nose, maybe you'll notice it's warm. Become present in the here and now. I invite you to set an intention for the rest of your day or week. I'll offer you a quote from the Indian yoga guru, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Find the love you seek by first finding the love within yourself. Learn to rest in that place within you that is your true home. Breathing in, my mind is clear. Breathing out, my heart is open. Connecting our breath to our movement, I invite you on your next in-breath to lift your arms up wide if you are not too close to somebody. Following your gaze, your arms with your gaze, inhaling up. Exhaling, press your palms down along your side. Inhaling up again. On your next exhale, twist to your left. Lower your hands down, looking over your left shoulder. Inhale your arms up, turning through center towards your right. Exhale your palms down. That feels comfortable. Inhale your arms up to center, meeting me in center. Placing your palms together, bring them down to your heart center. Place your palms on your lap. Just take a moment to see how that feels. Calming the mind, improving flexibility in your spine and shoulders. For our next movement, I invite you to join me in a cow pose. This is a heart opener. The heart chakra is in the center of your chest. The cow pose is good for opening that and allowing the air to come in. Air is the element for the heart chakra. Place your palms down on your thighs, feet flat, hip width apart on the floor. On your inhale, raise your chest, point your hips to the back of the chair, inhaling. Exhaling, curve the spine, chin to your chest. Hunch your back, your upper back like a cat, like a Halloween cat arching its back. Inhaling, gently open your spine, lifting your chest. Exhaling, lower your chin to your chest, your hips come curling forward. And inhaling back to center. Pause and just see how that feels. Breathing in and out. On your next inhale, raise your arms up. Clasp your left wrist with your right hand and stretch that up on your inhale. Exhale, tilt to the right. Crescent, you're going opposite of me. Inhale, center, stretching up. Clasp your right wrist with your left hand. Pull that up, stretching on the inhale, and then lowering on the exhale to the other side, feeling a stretch along the right side of your body. Inhale to center. Place your palms together down to your heart center. I'm fitting a lot of yoga, all three parts, into 8 minutes. Take a pause to connect with your breath again, inhaling through your nose, exhaling. Begin to relax now. Allow a natural breath. Relax your body as if it's on a soft cloud. Feel a green light hue shining on your heart with deep freshness like new buds coming up through the spring soil. The heart chakra has the element of green. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, of truth, of light, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Inhale your arms up, palms together. Exhale to heart center. Shanti, peace. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Paula Barnes, she, her, member of the pastoral care team. And I have a joy of this place. It's so magical this morning. It really is. Thank you. I also have a joy that I got a note that the chalice was not lit, but now I'm up here, it's lit, so it's magic. I'm more powerful than I think. So we do have joys in just being here today. It's wonderful. We also have a joy from Mike Pitts, joy for the fact that UUFXBG exists as a welcoming place for all. Everyone with diverse backgrounds and opinions to gather. Absolutely. We have two concerns. First off, our dear one, Marcia Wilson. She has a long legal battle ahead of her and has found out that the divorce proceedings will start in April. So we need to support her and wish her love. And maybe a short outcome, we'll see. Those of you know Lee Cuscolo and know that her mom had been ill. Lee says today, my mother, Constance, died yesterday. Can you read it for me?
She said, my mother, Constance, died yesterday after suffering in recent years from dementia, failing kidneys, and stroke. I'm very thankful for the support my mom and I received from friends and family. Please hold us in your heart as we grieve her loss.
Thank you. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge in our hearts the joys and concerns that have not been spoken.
And please feel free to come up and place a pebble in the water or any joys or concerns that
We forget that sometimes.
want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can participate from right there. All right. Oh, good. We have Reverend Doug. You're not alone, B. Oh, we got Marcia. All right, we got Karen. Okay. All right. Whew. We got more people here. So last week in RE, we talked about a lot of us say something every day when we go to school. We say the word justice. What do we say that in? The Pledge of Allegiance. So I have some flags for y'all when you give us an answer. So we're talking about justice today. So we're going to come up with a word for each letter of the word justice. And I already did J, which is justice, because honestly, I was having a hard time of thinking some J words. And I brought our A's from Activist book, just in case we need some. I know you have it, and we read it last week, right? Yeah. All right, so we got J is for justice. U is for, yes, Unitarian Universalists. You got it. Think of your S while I write this. Versalist. Okay. S. What's S for? What's in the book? What's that say in the book? Let's see. Does anybody have an S? Service. All right. What'd you get? What'd you get? You can tell us. Sun? Sun. All right. And so what is T? Just. What do we got for T? Do you have anything? Truth. That's a good one. Truth. Yeah. I. Intelligence. Yes, I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad about giving out the gifts. Yeah. I have the gifts and then I don't give the gifts. Intelligence. I think this is intelligence. As soon as you get up somewhere you cannot spell. Okay, C. Compassion. And E. Equality and equity. Let's do equity. And there we have justice. Thank you all. I'll type this up and put it up on the wall for us. Thank you for participating. Did anybody else if anybody else wants a flag, you can raise your hand if you. Okay. All right. You can keep the flag. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I'll take back our book. Thank you.
Justice. But I still ask, what's love got to do with it? It's embedded in all of those things, isn't it? So I'm here right now to give you the total of where we stand for our stewardship campaign, our pledge drive. Unfortunately, the slide that we had, that Kurt Swinburne built, a beautiful slide, it got a little hung up in the machine. So I'll have to tell it to you. But we are, for our first week, we have raised $79,000. Yeah! Woo! Thank you! And our goal is $290,000. So we got a ways to go, but thank you so much to all of you who have pledged your financial support for this beloved fellowship. And I invite all of you who have not yet pledged that outside we have paper pledge forms that you can fill out before you go home. And we also have the ability to pledge online. You can, I think, starting about Tuesday, we'll have the, no, it's up there already. We have the QR code so that you can go onto our webpage and that'll take you to a pledge drive form online, and you can pledge that way. So please do it as soon as you can, because the earlier you do it, the sooner we'll be able to know exactly how much funds we'll have for next fiscal year to plan for. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to introduce someone who's already been up here, Karen Kelly, who's been a member here for many years, and as you can see, she wears many hats. Just today, she was our song leader, she's our worship associate, and she's going to come talk to us about why pledging is important to her.
So I hope this is working. Yeah, okay, thanks. When I first learned about the Unitarian Universalists, I was both really excited and really annoyed. And this would have been about 20 years ago. I was really excited because I had finally found a place where I could wholeheartedly participate. I could sing and not have to constantly be substituting words and so forth in my own head. I was really annoyed because I was already 50 years old by that time. And I was really sorry that I could not have raised my 3 children in that environment. One of my main reasons for supporting this fellowship is to provide a place for young families. The parents can be supported in exposing their children to UU values and experiences and a variety of cultures. This community helps to counter the rampant commercialism of our popular culture. It provides classes about sexuality to counter the ignorance, misinformation, stereotypes, and poor communication skills that otherwise prevail. We provide acceptance and encouragement for atypical youth. This past week, most of my local immediate family that has lived here, and part of why I'm down here from California, moved to North Carolina. Sure, we can continue to phone each other a lot, but it has left an ache inside me. As an introvert, I am very slow to reach out for companionship, but it means the world to me to know that it is here in this fellowship. Thank you. I don't have to keep going up there. Now we'll sing again. If you've got your hymnals, it's number 34. Otherwise, the words will be on the screen. There we go. And this is a melody that I think almost all of you are going to be familiar with. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to awe-inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I am and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within. The prophets soon turn strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Word love, guide every deed, by this we worship and are free.
Our closing words come from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, We must stand up amidst a system that still oppresses. And we must develop an unassailable and majestic sense of values. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power connecting everything that stands against love.
Please join me in reading in unison our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of service. May it be a catalyst for spiritual growth and social justice. As we carry it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Go in peace, serve the world, return again in love.